Hi, Sridhar.
Hi Saurav, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine.
So glad to see you. Thank you so much for your time, and
Oh,
I'm really
you're welcome
excited
and
for the.
thank you for inviting me.
So I'm really excited to see your pictures and listen to the stories.
Uh,
Come to
Thank
so
you.
many
Thank you.
places where not many people have been to. So I'm really excited to do this session with you. So, guys, whoever is watching us today, so we have Sridhar. So Sridhar is a very accomplished photographer, and you will see a lot of his pictures, which will tell a lot of stories. He has some amazing collection of pictures. Okay, so let's get. So before we get started, I will just show you. All what we have in store, or maybe we'll keep it as a secret. We'll just get started with the question and answers. Okay. So Sridhar,
Okay.
please tell us about your story as a photographer. So how has your journey been so far?
Well, in a single word, it would be wonderful, But since you say that it's all about stories, I'd rather, go ahead and elaborate a bit. So
Please.
my tryst, so serendipity, like we were discussing a couple of days ago. It's a wonderful thing in life.
Right.
So
Right.
in '95, I went on a trek. I had no ideas about mountains or anything, but I did the Gochala trek in 1995.
Okay.
No
Okay.
porters, no guides. And
Okay.
I had no camera, of course. I was about maybe 13 and a half, 14, something like that. But
Okay.
my brother had a plastic hotshot camera. Most people would know what that is. It's a plastic point and shoot camera.
Mm-hmm.
And after a lot of pleading, he agreed to give it to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I went there and I took some photos like you normally do on a trek.
Right.
And
Right.
we came back home, got all the film washed, made prints. One of my
Mm-hmm.
dad's friends was a photographer, so he
Okay.
came in and dad showed him the images, and he liked the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
And as luck would have it, even though I was doing that trek alone,
Mm-hmm.
on the way I met a couple of people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in touch with them even today.
Okay.
And one of those guys was he was a wonderful photographer. Even today, I take tips from him. I ask him to critique my images even today.
Okay.
And he also told me that you might consider buying yourself an SLR camera.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then the next step was, once I got bitten with a travel bug,
Mm-hmm.
I started spending all weekends traveling, but I
Okay.
wouldn't
Okay.
always get the point and shoot camera, nor did I have
Mm-hmm.
money to buy the film.
Mm-hmm.
So then I began, taking coaching classes to get some money for film. I would also save
Okay.
money that my parents would give me for lunch, and all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd not eat, save money, buy film. And then in I think '96 or '97, I asked my dad to loan me some money so
Okay.
I could buy a camera. And I bought
Okay.
myself an FM10
Okay.
with a
FM10. Okay.
3570, yes, FM10 3570 kit lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I continued traveling, and I was obviously in love with the mountains. So
Mm-hmm.
in '98, I did my rock climbing course in a place
Okay.
called Purulia.
Okay.
And I was, and I was, one of the star students there. So
Wow.
the club that had organized it said that you need to do your mountaineering course because we see a future in mountaineering.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave me the form for the basic mountaineering course at Nehru Institute
Okay.
of Mountaineering.
Okay. Great.
In
Mm-hmm.
1999, I went to Nehru Institute of Mountaineering, did my course there. I
One
got an
month
A
course.
course. Yeah, it's a
Mm-hmm.
1 month course.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it was 4,000 rupees. I got a 2,000 rupees scholarship,
Okay.
and
Great.
so I got an A. But
Mm.
then you begin to realize the the beauties that the mountains hold.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
it was around that time that I realized that this is the life that I want. I liked traveling anyway. I had fallen in love
Mm-hmm.
with the mountains, and
Right.
uh, I had see. I was born and brought up in Calcutta, so
Mm-hmm.
Darjeeling was pretty close. So I would do a
Right.
lot of treks there,
Right.
and as luck would have it, I did my course in March '99. And in
Okay.
September 1999, I was selected to go on a mountaineering expedition to Ladakh.
Wow.
So we spent 50 days, 50 days in
Okay.
Ladakh, where we climbed two
Mm-hmm.
peaks. So that was a time when,
Wow.
you had to, there was much before Somoruri, the road ended. So you have to walk all the way, but you
Right.
take the other bank on the opposite side of Kurzok. So today,
Wow.
those two mountains, Chamser and Lamser Kangri, are not open to
Mm.
climbing anymore.
Right.
So I went there, had 50 days. So you'd do the mountaineering stuff, of course. You'd climb every day, you'd ferry rations, you'd set up camp. But
Mm-hmm.
then I met the Champas there.
Mm.
So these pastoralists would come there. They are nomadic pastoralists there.
Right. Right.
And you
Right.
had more than enough time to sit down, chat with them, because there's not too much that you're doing. You're either ferrying
Mhm.
load or you're essentially like lockdown. You're outside your tent, you're taking a little
Right.
walk.
Right.
And I was fascinated with the kind of stories I heard from them, the kind of life they led.
Mm-hmm.
All the everybody else. So I would say that was a very good introduction to what I would be doing later on in life,
Mm-hmm.
because I went in thinking as a mountaineer, that we are going to climb a peak, massive adventure. Not many people do this, and then you see the Changpa. They have this
Mm-hmm.
little barley, a little water,
Right.
and they just set off and they keep
Right.
climbing. And then you think, that you have these boots and these crampons and an ice axe, and you're carrying some, and you think that you're doing something major, and then you see it's just a
Mm.
day in a life for someone else. So it
Right.
completely
Right.
changes your perspective.
Right.
So immediately after 1999, I went for some other expeditions as well. But I never forgot this brush with the Changpas that I had. So I would
Mm-hmm.
keep returning to Ladakh. I spent
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time with these nomads. I've traveled very extensively across all the migratory routes of the nomads.
Wow.
And it was only then that I began realizing that I need to shoot, because that
Mm-hmm.
was also a time where roads were being built. There were some Changpas who had come into Leh.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that documenting this would be kind of, I don't know whether it was important or not, but I felt,
Mm-hmm.
for this kind of life that the people led. It was like
Right.
the cowboys of India.
Right. Right.
And then I began doing that. But on the other hand, because I loved the mountains, I would also continue to do these high altitude treks. So then
Mm-hmm.
I met the Gaddis, then the Bakarwals, then the Van
Mm-hmm.
Gujjars.
Mm-hmm.
And gradually my photography got shaped by the lives of people that are so far removed from ours.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know about them today. Many people do, but that was a time when nobody even knew that such
Right.
communities existed.
Right. Right.
Then
Absolutely.
gradually it came to the Rabaris, the Fakiranis. Then gradually I expanded. You keep growing. So I'm talking about when I was a teenager. Then you get a job, but then you are so hooked to travel, mountains, photography, that you kind of begin to expand on your genre.
Right.
So
Right.
then I got into street. I got into people, not
Mm.
necessarily nomads, but
Mm.
communities.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And here I am.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, right. So, what is the most difficult trek that you have done? Most
Well, it's
challenging one?
the most challenging. Well, apart from forget the climbs. There are the trek I had done one. It's now a common route again, but the Bada Bengal trek.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I did that in, I think, 2006, 2006, yeah, 2005, 2006.
Okay. Wow.
Then but beyond the treks as we know it, with on routes, what
Right.
happens is largely most of these are shepherd trails.
Mm-hmm.
So I will never. I will. In terms of challenges, you have the weather, you have the terrain, you have the supply of food, the quality of tent, sleeping. But there are
Right.
50 considerations that you take in. But these
Right.
long marches, that some of the Changpa families, they walk 17,
Mm.
18 days across
Right.
multiple passes to get to pasture.
Right.
And
Right.
it becomes a challenge because they can't wait for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if they are your guides, that they'll
Yeah.
pitch camp, they'll do. It's not like that. So you have to do everything. You have to keep up with them. You can't
Mm-hmm.
be a burden on them. So you need to carry enough
Right.
with you. You can't
Right.
expect them to
Right.
cook your food, even though that happens,
Mm-hmm.
because they understand after 5 days, that you have very little
Mm-hmm.
to give. So then there is also this entire aspect of looking as if you will survive the trek. You know, Because if you are doing a 30-day trek,
Right.
everybody is fine and you can't be, dead
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
all of that, there are some of these migrations that I've done with the Changpas.
Wow.
They'll never be trek routes. They'll never be trek routes, no matter how
Mm.
many roads you build
Mm.
in Ladakh. There are still
Mm.
places you can walk for 20, 25 days, like Ladakh of old,
Mm-hmm.
and I just hope they remain that way. Fantastic places. So yeah,
Right. How did you manage
Ladakh is very.
yeah,
Tell me.
your batteries and your roles that time?
Yeah, in the days of film, that is the only thing that I'm thankful to digital photography for. There are heartbreaking incidents of me losing rolls of film, and when I say
Oh
film,
my
I
God.
mean transparency. So these
Mm-hmm.
are you have Velvia, Provia,
Mm.
depending on Velvia and
Mm.
Provia were kind of more expensive. A
Right.
fantastic slide film.
Colors. Yeah.
But then you all yes. So I have never actually shot film. That's
Okay.
another story why.
Mm-hmm.
But so you had only that much money, and I
Right.
still remember this Provia would come for 350 rupees, and that's a
Mm.
lot of money in those days.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you want to save every frame that you can. So you get
Absolutely.
into your sleeping bag after the
Mm.
evening, cover yourself,
Mm.
and try
Mm.
and
Mm.
get that one extra frame.
Mm.
You shoot a frame, and then you think maybe I shouldn't have shot now. There'll be a great picture, and I will run out of frame, film.
Yeah. I remember those days.
But in terms of,
Mm.
see, I shot for a long time with FM2 before moving to. So in terms of cameras, I began with the FM10, moved to the
Okay.
FM2, then
Mm.
F80, F100, F5. So
Okay.
up to F80 or F100, batteries were not a problem, because in the
Mm.
FM2 or FM10,
Yeah.
you didn't even need a battery.
They had one battery and they would last for a really long time. Mm.
Forever.
Mm.
And ultimately, it would only come down to metering. And
Right.
if you are shooting slide, and if you are depending on the metering of the camera, then you'll
Mm.
always go wrong.
Right.
Because slide is
Mm.
it's unforgiving. You need to be perfect in terms of exposure and everything.
Right.
So,
Right.
but beyond that, I would carry a lot of. I have never used solar panels. Even today, I don't. I prefer
Mm-hmm.
carrying extra batteries.
Mm-hmm.
I travel a lot in the winters in Ladakh. So
Mm-hmm.
during the winters, what I do is I have a pouch, several pouches, in fact, that I string around my neck and I keep against my body. So they are always warm. They don't discharge easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't even keep, because I shoot largely landscapes
Mm-hmm.
and people. So I don't need to keep the battery in the camera all the time. So every time I shoot, I take the battery out, and I never shoot. I don't go mad with my shooting.
Yeah.
I shoot
I
less. Saves
I
me
do
the
the
trouble
same
from
thing.
deleting.
Mm.
Saves you the trouble from deleting
Mm.
2,000 pictures
Right.
once you come back.
Right. Right.
You're
Right. Right.
selective even when you're shooting.
Mm.
So yeah, and yes, there are, like I said, there is heartbreak. I have lost rolls. I have also lost SD cards. I have run out of batteries. So such things happen, but I am not wedded to photography in that way. Even today, I remain
Mm-hmm.
a traveler first and a photographer after that. So I don't
Right.
mind.
Right.
I,
Mm.
I don't allow photography to dictate my travels in that fashion. No.
Right. That's a very good attitude that you follow. Very good. Great. So, did you have any formal training in photography, Sridhar?
No, but I had the closest that you can come to a formal training. And this also is an interesting story. So I'll take you back to the gentleman that I met in Sikkim on
Mm-hmm.
halfway through the trek. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Udayan Chatterjee.
Okay.
And he's a, he won't be watching this. I don't think he's online or anything, but I have spent hours, and he has given me endless hours, endless,
Mm-hmm.
8, 10, 12, 16 hours on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis almost. Because
Mm-hmm.
I would, in Calcutta, the one thing that he had told me after I began shooting, and he was the one who went with me to get the FM10,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to shoot regularly. Like it or
Mm-hmm.
not, that is the only way you can improve your photography.
Mm-hmm.
So every morning, at 5:30, I would be out of home, and I would
Okay.
shoot on the streets of Calcutta. In the evening or in the couple of days that I would take to finish my film, I would have them washed, go with him with smaller prints, and he would critique my images. And this
Okay.
became a habit. And imagine, he's He's maybe 18, 20 years older than I am. So he had a full-time job. He worked in an office. But he'd allow me to, visit him in the office, and he would critique my images, tell me what is right, what is not right, why, where I have followed grammar, where I have broken grammar, but it's good, where I need to learn more. He'd give me books. He'd give me a lot of advice. He would take me to other friends of his who were photographers. And in Calcutta, this is a beautiful philosophy.
Yeah,
In
absolutely. Yeah.
everybody is ready to help everybody else. So he just said, there's a young guy, he wants to shoot. The idea of professional photographer meant you're either a fashion photographer, studio photographer. So if you're a street photographer and all, you do it as a passion.
Right.
So,
right.
I have 50, 20, 30 people, Shamal Das. There are so many people who have actually helped me improve the kind of photos that I would take. So I'd go on a trip, come back, they'd all come, I'd shoot on slides. So, you get a projector, you spend an evening, they would select images for you, they would tell me. So very early on, I began winning awards thanks to them. So they'd see a slide, they'd say, this needs to go into this salon or this contest. That gave me a lot of confidence. Okay, what I'm doing with my photography is something that is good. It goes beyond this small circle of people and my parents who always love my photographs. And a person that I don't know at all, halfway across the world, there's something that is connecting my photo with him. And therefore, all of this kind of builds up into deciding that you want to take up photography. And and beyond that, because I also used to write a lot. I used to write when I was in school. There's an English teacher who always asked me to write more. So I tried my hand out of that too. And then I got a lot of success it began with Telegraph, Times of India, Statesman, then on to magazines, national magazines, then magazines outside India. So over a short period of time, I was able to not just do photography, but also writing and photos and magazines, newspapers. I began to make a little more money to be more serious about the kind of shooting that I wanted to do.
Yeah. Great. So, so what kind of homework do you do, Sridhar, if you go for a trip before? Probably you have never been before. So, what kind of homework do you do? Any homework?
Yes, I do. I read up. I read up a fair bit. I also check, hotels, etc. But I don't take what I read very seriously. I'll be honest with you, because I had the habit of doing that, and I had the habit. Worse, I had the habit of taking things seriously when I read them.
Okay.
These are anthropological accounts as well. So. But then when you go there, you see that these books have been written at a certain point in time. Then I began to also realize that even the best of books, if they are 100 pages, they would have a 20-page bibliography, which means they have referred to books that have been written 50 years before that. Things change. Things change. Many things change. So if you take what you read very seriously, you already have images that you have made in your mind before you go there on the basis of books. And once you begin hunting for images that are in your head, you begin missing everything. So I know how to get there. I go to a place. I have my cameras out. I love spending a lot of time. So in the least, I'll spend a month or a month and a half. And maybe the first 15 days will be without images. Even though everybody knows, I'll carry my camera bag, full gear, tripod, camera bag, lenses, 2 cameras hanging out, to make myself as conspicuous, as visible as possible. People will talk to you. People will not be friendly, maybe. But over a period of time, they understand that either you have nothing better to do, or what you are telling them is the truth, that you are here to shoot and you are here to document them. Then you make friends. People invite you home. You tell them why you are there, what you want to shoot. Why? Because for them to understand why you are shooting them is very strange, because they look up to you and you look up to them. So it's kind of, but they are different worlds. So you kind of explain. Then they begin to take you seriously when you begin walking with them, eating with them, talking their language. You don't have a problem drinking from the same source. And then once you have that welcome from them, then you observe, because you're
Right.
not setting anything up, you are setting nothing up.
Mm.
All the
Right.
images that we'll see today, none of them is set up.
Okay.
You just know that this is going to happen. Once you
Mm.
know a person's routine, you
Mm-hmm.
know that this is going to happen, and then you are just waiting for the right light. You are at the right place, you know
Right.
how it's going to
Right.
pan out, and then you shoot. And these people don't even care that you are shooting. You can
Right.
take
Right.
a fisheye and you can be within 1 inch of you, but they don't really care anymore. And
Right.
that's when the images really begin to jump out. So yes,
Right.
I research, but just about enough, and
Okay.
then I see how it is on the ground.
So, Shida, what is your opinion about setting things up? There are a lot of photographers, even reputed photographers like Steve McCurry, have set up things and done the whole thing with the best of.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah.
so,
It's
what is
I don't have opinions. It's
okay?
no. I'm being honest with you. I wouldn't.
Hmm.
The
No,
idea of
would you
I
do
will
that
elaborate.
ever?
Absolutely, I could. Absolutely, I would. Because see, one of the things is you need to decide what you want to show the viewer,
Hmm.
right?
Right. Right. Hmm.
If I want to show the viewer beauty,
Hmm.
I will make sure that I capture the image that I think is beautiful
Hmm.
in the most beautiful fashion, so that the viewer is able to see the beauty that I am seeing without all
Right.
the emotions that are going on in my head. You always,
Hmm.
so that's fine. That is fine. As long as we don't have made up stories behind them. You can easily understand when a photo is set up. So, there
Right.
is nothing wrong. It means that I'm
Right.
asking you to
Hmm.
pose for me. You're saying yes.
Hmm.
I would assume that. I'm not doing it at
Right.
gunpoint. So if
Right.
it's that way, I have absolutely no problems. There are fantastic images
Okay.
that have been made, which are set up.
Right.
But I personally, it's not the favorite uh,
Not your cup of tea, I
way
guess.
to shoot for me.
Hmm.
No, I
Right.
have done it. I wouldn't say that I won't do it or I've never done it. But
Okay.
more likely it would be like, say there's the setting's brilliant. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I won't move anyone from anywhere. That I
Okay.
will not do.
Hmm.
So if I see that there's a beautiful setting somewhere and I see this person who is drinking water,
Hmm.
but I don't have the right kind of lens, and with this lens, I won't be able to do it.
Okay.
So I will shout at him and ask him to stop drinking water for 1 minute so that I can go close and then he can continue drinking water.
Hmm. Right.
It's something like this, somewhere midway, but not
Right.
really set up.
Okay. So, what are your plans now after the COVID this year? Do you have any plans to
Oh,
travel or next
first,
year's?
see, I've never stayed this long in the city.
Same with me.
Okay, and well, but I won't say I'm enjoying it, but this has, you keep traveling, right? You have
Hmm.
to,
Hmm.
and you hardly ever get the time to sit down and kind of rewind, set things in your head well. So
Right.
I've kind of done that. So I will begin traveling once it is safer to travel.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And when I do, I will, there are some things that I have wanted to do that have been on my to do list, to visit list, to shoot list,
Hmm.
and I have been putting that on the back burner for some time because I've been busy with other things. So
Right.
now I know that those are the things I'll start with, and
Hmm.
we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah. All right. So, Shida, can you give us some tips on any aspiring photographer?
Well, I'll give you the tips that I got, and it worked very well for me. Okay.
Sure.
Get into photography not because you want to earn money. Not because you want to
Right.
earn money.
Right.
If you're doing this to earn money, then do the kind of photography that will get you money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because with stock agencies, with everything that is happening, a photograph of the Taj or a street photograph won't get you
Hmm.
money. That's a fact. So you
Right.
should,
Right.
if you're in it for the money, then learn the photography that will get you money, and
Right.
do the other photography at your own time.
Right.
But if you want to make money doing the kind of photography that you're doing,
Hmm.
it worked for me for some time. Then I kind of moved out because I was getting bored with it. then make sure that you do the photography in a manner that no one has ever done before. And
Right.
that is a very tall order, because everybody is shooting every day.
Right.
So you
Right.
either need to go to a place that people have not gone before, or
Hmm.
you have to go to the place that everybody has gone before and come back with images that no one has shot.
Both are difficult.
Yes. Third thing is, read the camera manual, so you know where what is and what does. Second, keep the camera as part of you, even if you don't know photography, even if you're just beginning, this is your first camera, day 2 with the camera. Shoot whatever you want, forget light, forget everything, get used to the buttons, get used to the camera in such a way, it's like, brushing your teeth and reading the paper. You don't need to think about anything. Over a period of time, you will understand that by the time you move your camera from your hip to your eye, you have already done all the settings.
Right. Right.
And you need to learn to be, a slave to light. One of the things that I realize is that we begin seeing from the moment we are born, right? We open our eyes, we see light. So we don't respect light the way we should. We take it for granted.
Right.
Look at light in a different way. Every degree that you move, light changes. So you need to be very keenly aware of the quality of light. Now, if you're an outdoor photographer, you can't carry studio lights with you every day. If you're a travel photographer, you're largely traveling alone. So you need to pack only as much as you can carry.
Right.
Okay. So you need to make the most of the light that you have.
True.
Morning light is great, evening light is great, but if you move around and understand and study light, make it a discipline, because you have 12 hours of light every day. Make it a discipline, and you can make the most no matter what the light conditions. This is very, very, very important.
Absolutely.
Then you will see that the essence, the feel that you get when you're shooting is something that transpires, moves beyond you, beyond the camera, to the viewer.
Right.
And most important, of course, you need to develop a style. And you should see the work of other photographers without cramming your brain with the frames.
Right.
Don't look at the frame thinking that, wow, if I shot this would have been wonderful. Say it is wonderful, but then realize that this has been shot. So you shooting it again will not help you.
Right.
So you need to know the lessons that you take from seeing other people's images is very important.
Right. So, Sridhar, one last question to you before we start seeing your pictures. So, you started with film, and now we are living in the era of Facebook and Instagram. So, how do you find this transition? Do you like to see pictures on Instagram, or how is it?
Selectively, yes. I'm not very active on social media that way. I do upload images, and to be honest, I have a friend, a very dear friend, who does the uploads for me, because when I do it myself, it's once in 6 months. So he uploads the images for me. I send him images once in a while.
Okay.
It's nice, but Instagram kind of gives you, with so many filters and everything that is coming. See, I understand darkroom techniques. I understand processing of images. But suddenly, if all sunsets become brilliant, then the joy of enjoying a brilliant sunset is really lost, because then you're out there thinking, no matter what the sunset is, I'll go and increase the saturation. That takes away from it. So I would say all the sources. See, there are brilliant photographers on Facebook, on Instagram, on 500 pics. There are so many platforms on which you have wonderful photographers. So you need to cut through the quantity and get to people who really pursue photography as a serious vocation. Then you begin learning, and don't fall for the the likes and comments and all that. Love what you do, and one more thing is you need to keep looking at your images, because one of the
Right.
things that we don't do is, especially those who shoot in color. I always shoot in color. I don't shoot in black and white. I'm not a big fan of, even though it can be done easily.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of shooting in color and moving to black and white, because I think black and white by itself is a discipline which takes a lot of confidence.
True.
He, I will shoot in black and white. Well, Prabuddha Dasgupta, for instance, he went into
Mm.
Ladakh saying, "I'll shoot black and white." Man, can you imagine that?
Mm. Mm.
A place that is so full of color, he went in with black and white film. No going back. So it takes a certain degree of courage and confidence.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I don't shoot black and white, but I like shooting in black and white. I would also shoot in you had Ilford and Tri-X. I've shot a lot in that,
Mm.
the film days. In digital, I don't, because I can't muster up the courage to, go black and white and shoot.
Mm.
So one of the things that people, you look at an image, you see a lot of colors, and you say it's a good image. It's, don't do that. If you like an image, hold your, sight to that image for 10 minutes, and you see why you like it. Is it only the color? Is it the expression? Is it the movement? In that way, you can narrow down, the feelings that we get very subconsciously. The symmetry, the rule of third, all of this is the way our brain functions.
Right.
It's there in here.
Right.
There's just
Right.
some guy who said that this is how the brain works and appreciates.
Mm. Right.
You should also practice that. You see an image and you say, why do you like it? What is the element that makes you stop in front of this frame? So then once you begin doing that with other people's image, you can begin doing that with your own images, and then you begin to see the world in frames.
Right.
A person coming in, okay, should I wait for a second or shoot before he comes into the frame? Especially with street photography, because it's very quick. So you need to, your reflexes need to be fantastic. So if you develop this habit of studying images, you become a better photographer, because you know the elements that you're looking for, whether they're all coming together.
Right. Great. So thank you, Sridhar, for answering the questions. And so now we'll go through the pictures, and please tell us a little bit about how you shot them. Okay. So, all right. You should be able to see my the pictures on the screen.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is an image from 2003. And if I'm
Wow.
not very mistaken, yeah, this is Ektachrome. The Ektachrome does red very well, but and this is on the chadar. So this was one of the images that I made on the chadar, and this entire, it's a canvas of white, and suddenly right under that I saw a yeti's foot. Let me put it that way. I'm talking about 17 years ago, right in front of me. That's a patch of water, and the sun was bouncing off the gorge walls, and just this bit was illuminated in yellow. And up front, you can see Zanskari. His name was Tundup, and he was from Abram village. So I would keep following him, because I was doing the chadar alone. So I would keep following this guy. I would keep him in my sight. So one of the good things that happen when you do this is you also get a sense of scale. And it's just the muted colors. You have this sudden brightness of yellow, and then there's just the white. You have a little bit of skylight, and then it's all the gorge walls. But I always like my images clean, and looking at an image that I've taken, maybe it's 2003, so 17 years ago. This one thing has not really changed in the way I take images. I like to keep my images well spaced out, elements in nice places. So yeah, this was, but it was one of the toughest. I had no idea what the chadar would be like, and walking on ice with a camera. And in those days, you didn't really have straps and all the stuff that you had. At least you didn't get clear. So you're wearing this jacket which has that slippery material, 5 layers of clothes, and you're kind of slipping on the ice, and you want to save the camera, and you hurt yourself. So yeah, this picture doesn't tell you what I went through, but yeah,
I can imagine. Wow. Yeah.
This was an image that I made in Chhattisgarh when I was doing a project for Chhattisgarh tourism. So there was a temple which is dedicated to the Mahanadi itself. So it's
Okay.
high on a hill, and
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing, just a very, very small temple, and it has a little
Mm.
bowl,
Okay.
and there's a small pool of water. So the faithful say that that is where the Mahanadi begins.
Okay.
So it was a long climb up to the temple, and the
Mm.
temple itself. So I was working on this book called The Brick Temples of Chhattisgarh
Okay.
for
Mm.
Chhattisgarh tourism. So all the temples
Mm-hmm.
there, wonderful, wonderful. I did it in around 60 days, 2 months. Wonderful time.
Wow.
And it was,
Wow.
so I took the photograph of the temple for the
Mm.
tourism department. And then I sat down. I have a couple of bad habits. I carry tea. I'm a massive tea drinker, and also a couple of things that go with tea. So I sat down to take in the surroundings, and
Mm.
then I saw this beautifully patterned paddy field,
Mm.
and of course the tree very well
Mm.
placed, and
Mm.
there was this little basket, cane basket that's lying there in yellow.
Mm.
So I knew that everything was fantastic in this image, and but I like keeping a human element as well in most of my images.
Right.
So I said that I'll sit as long as it takes for the man to get back and take that basket back. So I
Okay.
waited for around 3 hours, and then I found this guy coming with another yellow basket. So the combination of he's
Ah.
wearing red, you have a bit of yellow at two places, and the
Mm. Mm.
green with that gray. So it was just as he came into the frame, this was a frame waiting to be made. This is
Mm. Mm.
textbook photography.
Right. Great.
This, of course, is one of my favorite places, Ladakh. So this is in fact a recent shot. I took this image in 2019, last year,
Okay.
in
Mm-hmm.
November. So this is another lake that is there at 5,000 meters, around 5,100 meters, much higher than Pangong.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have been to this lake in winter and in summer, various months in summer, but I've never seen it pre-winter. And I
Okay.
had the feeling, this is one of the things when you keep going back to a place,
Ah. Mm.
you understand the topography, you understand the kind of vegetation that it has, and you have that idea about what it will
Mm.
look like. So
Right.
at this altitude, you don't even have much grass in the summers. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you can understand from the rocks that you have lichens that grow there. So I knew that if I went there pre-winter, I was expecting yellow and red in terms of lichens. But there, I went there and I only saw this yellow lichen, and it was kind of a dramatic sky. So I made this image, the contrast, largely for the contrast. And
Right.
I wanted because of the kind of shades that you see in the landscape, I wanted this to have more of a painterly look. So
Mm.
I used an 8400 here to
Okay.
kind of crop everything out and just make it about lines and colors all the way.
Beautiful.
This is in Arunachal Pradesh, and
Okay.
I was traveling with the Brokpas there.
Okay.
So and so I was outside their camp, and
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I like taking in things. So I'll just take I don't know. Do we have the time for my stories, or should I just
Yes.
skip
Yes.
to?
We have time.
Okay. So one of the things that again, this is also something that might be useful for aspiring photographers.
Right.
And this is also something that Udayan Chatterjee, my mentor, I'll call him, told me that if you travel because you want to shoot, what you should do is you travel, you shoot, come back, and you note down. When he told me this, when I was using film, you note down the shutter speeds each time, and after 15 days, when you come back, you add up all the shutter speeds and you see how many minutes you enjoyed, because you only enjoy photography, right? And in a 1 week span, you might have enjoyed maybe 20 minutes. Now, look back and see how much more you could have enjoyed.
Mm.
So never ever allow photography to dictate what you see. So here I was
Very true.
sitting out there. It was a cloudy day, winds blowing, the clouds dispersing sometimes, coming back together. And then these zomos were being milked, okay? And on this little hill that was there, you'll see that on the extreme left of the frame, there is just this patch of yellow flowers. Yeah. And even when the Brokpa called these Zomos in, so they call them, and they come running like puppies actually to get milked, because they also get salt as treats. So all these Zomos, they were eyeing this flower. It is almost as if this was a delicacy that they had missed. And then after these two were milked, they both went there, and it's almost like, if you look closely, maybe a full frame, maybe you will see that both of them are actually looking at this flower, but none of them is moving. It's as if who will make the first move and who will get the bigger share. So it was almost like stuff you do with your brother or sister, when there's only one piece of cake left. So it was. So I had my camera with me, and I just took this shot.
Great. Wow.
This is at around 49 degrees, I think. Rajasthan summer with the Rabari. Wow. It was early afternoon, and so even in Rajasthan, there are specific families, specific routes that I have traveled with the Rabari. So there are places that I know I'll find them. So again, you go there. I keep going back there because it's not about, nothing is the same always. So this was a very dry year, very, very dry year. So I knew that there would be a lot of dust that would fly, So I had placed myself against light so that I could get this yellow of the setting sun. And this gentleman that you see, he has only one eye. Okay. So he doesn't travel with his sheep. So he stays at camp. His daughter, she goes to school. You see her silhouette. So she goes to school, but during the vacations, she helps her dad out. So she was coming back with the sheep. I waited till the entire flock was gone. The entire herd was gone, so that I didn't have a crowd. Now, these were the last two sheep that were going back to camp. And the girl, as you see, she's just, resting. But what she didn't realize is that there was a couple of other sheep that were straggling behind. So even as I was shooting, and this is one of those times, you have the sheep coming in, you have the girl standing, but I needed something to create attention so that it would go the other way. Now, this gentleman began walking towards the other sheep, the straggler sheep. So I waited those 2 seconds, and the moment he entered that frame full stride, because he's in a hurry, I took this shot. There's just one shot of this, and I'm happy with what I got.
Very nice.
Again, this is shot in Delhi, and lanes. I love lanes. Most photographers, I think, do, because the light comes in, and the light comes in, it bounces off places, and so I loved this lane. I returned to this lane. It's around 2 hours from. I stay in Delhi now, so it takes 2 hours to get here. So I went for around 4 or 5 days to this specific lane in the afternoon, and everything is arranged. It's almost like a studio for photography. There's just one lane that joins it from the right, and people have to come there because at the end of the lane you see a shop, right? And there's a guy standing at the shop. So obviously, it's one of those normal kirana ka dukan. So whatever whoever needs. So I just needed someone from this lane to buy something from that shop. Now, what I didn't bank on was a girl with a dog. I was looking just for a person. And as luck would have it, the girl came out and she would have gone the other way. But then the dog followed suddenly. And the dog obviously realized that I was standing here, right? So he just looked at me and growled for a second. And I said, okay, because this was more than I bargained for. And in that time, the girl turned around. And again, in that second, of course, I just clicked, shot off a couple of frames. So I liked this with the dog and the girl looking at me, So that was the most telling frame that I could get that day.
Beautiful.
And it works very well.
Very nice. Beautiful.
This also is kind of a so I do a bit of climbing still, nothing as serious as I started off with. So this was in 2016, I think, when the guy that you see leading the group is a friend
Yeah.
of mine with whom I had done my basic course. His name is
Okay.
Avilash. So he
Okay.
was climbing Stoke Kangri in winter.
Mm-hmm.
So he and I have not really climbed together. So he
Okay.
said, you keep going to Ladakh in winter, so you want to climb. So I said, okay. So this was on the way to Stoke Kangri. So this was
Okay.
actually, you have the snow. B,
Mm.
the elements that you have is you have color, you have the weight that people are carrying on their back. It's serious stuff.
Right.
But the
Right.
reason that I took the shot is because of the snow that is flying. Those are not clouds, okay, that you
Mm.
see behind them.
Okay.
That is
Mm-hmm.
actually the level of wind on the other side of uh, the ridge.
Wow.
So that
Mm-hmm.
is snow being blown up by the mountains. So the
Mm-hmm.
other thing is mostly I don't work on single images. Okay, I largely work on photo stories.
Stories.
So
Mm-hmm.
yes, but one of the things that I try to maintain is that each of the images within the story should also should also work well as a standalone image. So this
Right.
is part
Right.
of the entire documentation. But yeah, this is one of
Okay.
the images. Yeah.
Great.
This is also in Rajasthan, and one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that when you're shooting in color, you kind of also need to contrast it with the lack of color.
Mm.
So this was at one of the dyeing mills, factories, whatever you call it. So I was
Right.
very, the white cloth that is drying,
Mm.
and then you have this bundle of red, green, blue, yellow, just a little
Right.
bit of,
Right.
and behind that you have the corrugated sheets.
Mm. Mm.
So again, this was I have some shots of still life shots. Let's put it that way, just the cloth. And then this guy came into the frame, and he went to sleep on one of the bundles. Okay, so what I did, I knew that there would be a frame.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I knew that there would be a frame with the human element, but I wasn't really keen on getting a person sleeping on it, because it adds to
Mm-hmm.
nothing. So what I thought was, I asked the other workers there,
Mm-hmm.
this guy, he's going off to sleep during work hours. So they said that this is his routine. He sleeps
Okay.
for maybe an hour, hour and a half,
Mhm.
and then he will go and he will start bundling up more of the cloth to bring in. So I
Okay.
said, all right. So I went out, I had tea, I took a walk, and I came back in maybe 45, 50 minutes. And then I wanted him to just walk around. But
Mm.
then he got up and he stretched, which
Ah.
this is not the perfect frame. But if you look at the foreground of the frame, you have that yellow piece of
Mm.
string, which is exactly like the hands that he has. So
Right. Right.
immediately you have a lot more symmetry, and the breaks exactly
Mm.
where the image wants, so it works very well
Right.
as an image.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Very nice.
Ah. This is, I normally outgrow the emotions that are attached, to images that you make. But
Mm-hmm.
this for me, it will always have a special place. There's not too much, maybe even when people see it, it's just an elephant and a guy. But, the
Mm.
guy's name is, the gentleman's name is Ejaz,
Okay.
and the elephant's name is Mahalakshmi. And
Oh.
he has been Mahalakshmi's Mahut for 50 years.
Wow.
Okay.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. And so I took the shot in Jaipur. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
know the elephants there, right?
Mm.
So I went with him to where he keeps his elephants. And I know that these are touchy topics, man,
Mm.
animal confrontation and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. But one of
Right.
the things that you realize is, in the larger scheme of things, yes, maybe Mahalakshmi doesn't get fed enough. It's
Mm-hmm.
difficult for elephants to do that job that they do, walking up
Mm.
and down the fort.
Right.
But you also need to understand, or maybe at least I'll try and make you understand, is that, elephants are, whether it's dogs, cats, elephants, if they don't like you, they will bite you. And for an animal like an elephant, it will just kill you, And the
Absolutely.
kind of relationship that these two shared, he has just come back from his duty. Okay. He has, the elephant is parked in her spot. He has had water. The elephant has had water. The elephant sits down, and he goes next to the elephant, and he just leans back on her. You can see the fatigue on his face, right? And you won't believe, when I'm shooting him, he says, stay away, because Mahalakshmi is very protective about me. You are a stranger, and if you are within striking distance, she's going to get you by the trunk. In fact, I have a couple of other images of Mahalakshmi when she kind of stood up after that. And you can actually see in one of the frames, the trunk is, I'm using the 1424, and the trunk is right next to the lens. So he marks the territory. Yeah. And this doesn't happen if there is no love between the two. And I think this image, kind of the image, the expression on his face, the sunken cheekbones, the half hopeless eyes, it's been just another tiring day, he'll just go off to sleep. It resonates a lot with me. And even then, the elephant has been there with him through thick and thin, patient, like he has been with her, maybe. So it says a lot. Yeah.
Right. Great. Beautiful. That's you.
Yeah, that's me. This
Where
was not
was
supposed
this?
to be, right? This is on the Khatling Glacier. So this is, in fact, this was taken in 2012. So I actually have the big rucksack on my back. It was only in 2016 that I got myself a cotton carrier.
Okay.
Until then, through all my climbs, I have had only the normal camera strap that you get when you buy the camera, nothing fancy. So I would carry two bodies, 3 lenses, and this is a Lower Pro bag. It is one of my favorites, but they have stopped making it this way. It is the AW Runner 400 or something. So it beautifully fits in 2 bodies with lenses, one flash,
I also used to
and
have one.
a third lens. So
Right.
I would carry that. So, well, my back, because of this bad way of carrying, you have, 6 kilos on one side, then you have 12, 13 kilos, 15 kilos on the back. So the back has taken a toll, which is why I got the cotton carrier. But this is how uncomfortable I would be when I would do my climbing and high altitude trekking. So this was on the Auden spot, on the Khatling Glacier. Yeah.
Great.
So largely, that I work with people by now, right? And
Definitely.
this level of, I can only call it intimacy. It comes only when people trust you like they would family,
Right.
And these are not things that you can get when you set something up. You can get a mother with her child. You can set that up, but this moment is not something that you can set up. You see the size of their house,
right?
So this is the Bhil community. So I have it's a continuing. So all my projects are essentially, I don't see them ending anytime soon. So I go there, I spend time with them. So I had gone there, and it's also luck. So the woman that is there in the back of the frame, this infant is hers. The infant is around 4 days old. Okay. And this other child, it has not been very happy with the new one coming in. Okay. So these people, they are trying to introduce the older brother to the younger brother. And one of the ways, so what he wants, he sees these women, swinging the cloth. So he is very interested in doing that. So these women are encouraging him to swing it while they ensure that no accidents happen. So they you can see through the veil, of the woman in front on the right side of the frame. You can see her eyes, you can see that half smile,
Right.
so
Right.
it's you just have that one moment.
Mm.
And the beauty of it is you can do this all day, because the moment itself is so touching. You can just sit
Right.
there and keep without a problem.
Mm. Beautiful. Wow.
This this is in the Northeast. Okay, so there are a small community of people who uh, rear buffaloes. So they are not
Okay.
pastoralists really, but
Mm.
they have huge herds of buffalo. They sell milk, and they also send these buffaloes for meat. They sell it to other northeastern states.
Okay. Where exactly in Northeast?
Massive, massive herds of buffalo. This is in Assam, and you also get them in Meghalaya.
Okay. Hmm.
So I spent a winter with them, moving around. But
Okay.
the problem in some places, it's photographically, the problem is that, in the mountains you have snow or you have flowers, but there is always that season that doesn't give you too much.
Mm.
So winter in the plains is like that. There are no flowers, there is nothing. You get a bit of fog in the morning, maybe that's about it. So
Right.
I knew
Right.
that I needed to go there in the monsoon,
Mm.
which is when it is lush. You also get a lot of clouds, sun shining through once in a while. So this was taken during the monsoon. I got maybe, in all, I got maybe 10 seconds to be with the herd, and just as the sun was streaking through. And one of the
Mm.
beautiful things is, you don't have pollution in these places.
Right.
So the colors, these are actual real colors, the
Uh-huh.
slight blueness of the sky, the
Hmm.
little warmth where the sun has actually
Right.
come in.
Right.
So
Beautiful.
it took me around 4 or 5 days actually to the people were very friendly. Pastoralists or people
Mm.
who move are always very friendly, but the problem is that their animals are never friendly.
Mm.
So it took me around 4 or 5 days for the buffalo to get accustomed to me. It
Okay.
also helped that I began wearing clothes that they had worn. So in terms of smell, at
Okay.
least the buffalo
Mm.
wouldn't find it very strange.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a lot that goes behind, making these images.
Absolutely. Great. Oh, this is so amazing.
So this is, one of the most popular winter photography places in Delhi. This is that Yamuna Ghat where the
Ah,
gulls come.
okay. Yes, yes. Okay.
So again, you might have, there might be, I don't know, like I said, I'm very selective about the images that I see on the web. And there are recommendations also that I get, so I go and see them. But
Hmm.
this is what I say when I said that, you go to a place that everybody goes to,
Right.
but you try and see it differently.
Mm.
So, and in terms of creating that image in your head, you rivers in all philosophies, let me put it that way, or faiths, rivers have been these places of life and death. You cross that river to go to afterlife
Mm.
and all of that.
Mm. Mm.
Yamuna by itself is one of the most polluted rivers in the world. It is a dead river. There is
Right.
no kind of life that happens, that
Mm.
lives in its waters. And then you have this chaos of life on its surface, and these gulls, which are essentially carnivorous and omnivorous, they are
Mm.
here eating, gatia and other flour and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's almost surreal.
Mm.
The gulls depend on people. The people give offerings. Now these
Mm.
offerings are for the people that they love who have departed. So
Mm.
many things come together. So I wanted to try and capture that. You have the stillness of this boat. You don't understand that it's water. You
Mm.
have just some of the birds that are sitting, and you have this madness of life that's in the
Mm.
sky. But it's all because I kind of took it from a little bit of a height.
Mm. Mm.
It's all been reduced intentionally to a 2 dimension, where the boat is the only thing that gives you that idea of a third dimension in the frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
How can you not love shooting in the outdoors? Now this
Absolutely.
is again, with the people, the buffalo herders.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so I was maybe 200 meters away from this solitary tree. All right,
Hmm.
and so this is the monsoon. Okay, and you've been to Assam, you must have been to
Yes.
Meghalaya. So
Yes.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
rains there are absolutely maddening, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And but because you also spend a lot of time outdoors, you know that there is magic that is going to happen today. It's not
True.
just going to rain. There is something that is going to happen.
Hmm. Hmm.
So uh, the moment the light began changing, I took my camera, both my cameras and lenses, and I rushed down to this one place which I had, I have always wanted to shoot this in great light. So I went there, and in all, this scene, played itself out for maybe a maximum of maybe a minute. So
Hmm.
the winds brought in the clouds, so it was completely dark. I have some shots of that too, as the clouds are blowing in.
Hmm.
And then, suddenly there is this gap in the cloud, and the sun comes in. And these
Hmm.
are paddy fields. They have just
Wow.
sown paddy here.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it just lights up like gold, you know.
Hmm.
And in the next
Beautiful.
5 seconds, it begins raining like there's no tomorrow. So you have no other
Hmm.
choice but to run away. But then when you see this image, you know that it's completely worth all the troubles that you've taken. You're
Absolutely.
drenched in the rain,
Absolutely.
your camera is drenched. So yeah.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
This was taken in 2014, I think.
Okay.
2013,
Hmm.
2013, 14. I'm not very sure of the dates, but 13, 14. This is when I was doing the Panpatia trek. So this is
Okay.
from basically Kedar to Badri. It's like one of those legendary routes, where you have this story, where the priest
Hmm.
of Kedar would light the lamp in Kedar in the morning and then Badri in the evening. And then Shiva essentially brought up a mountain in between so that he wouldn't be able to do that because his wife was
Hmm.
complaining that he spent no
Okay.
time at home. So this is one of those legendary treks. So this is right under the Panpatia call, and
Okay.
we were camped on a snowfield. So there was a lot of snow that year, and
Hmm.
we just couldn't make much headway because right after this, the climb to the call is kind of, you need to rope up because it's around 40
Okay.
degrees, 45 degrees.
Wow.
So we had camped here, and I essentially like hanging around, not in the tent but walking around. So
Hmm.
then I suddenly, I realized that right under where we had placed the tent, some maybe
Hmm.
10 meters downhill, the
Ah.
ice was beginning to break, and there was a stream that was rushing through. So there is
Oh, wow.
glacial melt that's
Hmm.
actually chewing through the ice,
Hmm.
chewing through the snow.
Hmm. Ah.
I went up there and I said, yeah, we might need to move our tents, because the pressure that we are creating,
Ah. Ah.
if
Hmm.
there is a lot more of
Right.
melt.
Hmm.
So then we kind of moved our tents to little, islands of rock, so
Hmm.
that even when that happens. So I thought that this would make a very nice frame in the late in the afternoon.
Wow.
I carry a tripod also. So
Hmm.
this was one of the rare, but I rarely use my tripod. But this was
Hmm.
one of the occasions where I thought that it was worth the trouble, put it on a
Okay.
tripod. So you have,
Hmm.
a little bit of color, and then you have some bit of movement on the water.
Great. Very nice. Wow.
This is Kashmir when I'm traveling with the Bakarwals.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
this is a high meadow. Uh,
Hmm.
I saw this horse being born. Okay,
Okay.
and so now when you travel for long periods of time, many things happen. Many things happen.
Hmm.
It's not, you stop beginning to see them as, people with red hennaed beard or hair,
Hmm.
or people
Hmm.
walking with sheep. It's a lifestyle. There's a lot that goes
Right.
into, a lot of knowledge, indigenous,
Hmm.
knowledge that goes into this.
Right.
So it was a very long walk, very long walk, and largely because they had to get to a pasture with grass. So this was taken somewhere, I think, around April. So the snow had not yet melted in the higher pastures. So when these guys come in from Jammu, they do a lot of high altitude pass crossing, and they hit grass only at much lower altitudes. So they began walking maybe at 3 a.m. and they reached some camp at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. And one of the mares that was pregnant went into labor. So then the Bakarwal spent next 3-4 hours helping her deliver. And well, the baby was born healthy, and these babies also learn to walk pretty fast. In a couple of days they are good with their legs, and then all they want to do is to taste freedom, run around, jump around, and everything. So they were waiting. You'll see a couple of sheep also in the background, little dots of white. So this is a camp where they had stayed for some time to help this baby get some more energy. Because if a sheep delivers babies, they can carry it in their, they have a little apron kind of thing. They can put it in there. They can carry it on horses. But a horse kid, you can't really carry that way. So they were forced to stay there for a couple of days. And I was essentially sitting there, like I said, I move away, I have tea. And then I see this just one patch of light coming in and hitting the valley floor. And I also see this horse coming in that direction, this baby. And immediately I knew, it would be so beautifully backlit. So I already knew where I had to sit. I sat before it got excited because I was moving around and it had to play with me. So I sat very still, and then it just crossed me. And as it crossed me, it's like I said, it's all about, you have to be a slave to light. So it's just one element, and then brings life to the image.
Beautiful. Wow.
Hi. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem.
So well, this again is in Rajasthan. So this was well, you understand there's some kind of a conversation going on, and there are people who so these men are having a conversation, and the women and children are kind of listening in. So they are not part of the conversation really, but they want to listen in on whatever discussions are happening, right? So there is another wall behind me, behind which these people are standing. So you can understand the third person, from the right is a lady. She has the
Right.
And so immediately, even without showing the entire scene, I made this image, and I knew that this would tell a story. The man has some kind of an expression in his face, half maybe worried or curious or whatever it is. And you also begin to think, he's curious, how are they involved, the shadows, just beautiful elements that come in.
Beautiful. Yeah. Very nice.
Again, one of my Ladakh. So I like reading light, which is why I always say there's a lot of it that you do. So Ladakh doesn't have too much in terms of things of interest. So that is one of the biggest, I would say, problems with Ladakh. That when you look at Ladakh, when you go there and you see the valleys, the vastness, the color, you just love it. But then when you begin shooting, you come back, then you see that your images are flat. Because essentially Ladakh is nothing. Ladakh is, the epitome of nothingness in terms of its landscapes.
Right.
So I am always looking to fill frames. So this obviously is part of the entire thing that work that I do with the Changpas. So I just went against light. In the extreme background of this image is actually a hill. So that is in shadow. So you
Mm.
have this beautiful, almost black backdrop, but you can
Right.
see those little patches of vegetation, so you know that it's kind of the flank of a hill.
Right.
And the sheep, so you have the yak, which is
Mm.
clear, it wants nothing else but to eat. Then you have right behind it the sheep, which are also, they are not eating, they are basically standing. So you know that
Mm.
they might have had their fill of eating,
Mm.
and now they are
Mm.
resting or something. And
Right.
behind that you have the chaos of dust rising.
Right.
So that's almost 3 stages of the evening. So these
Mm.
sheep and goat are just coming back to camp. Now they'll be milked, they'll be given some
Mm.
grain, they'll be
Mm.
fed, they'll have to drink some water. So there's
Mm.
a separate sets of activity that go on.
Right. Beautiful.
Ah, so again, I'll keep coming back to that because see, one of the other things, I'll take a half-second digression. Okay, I'm not very regular on social media, but
Mm.
I do get all kinds of requests from aspiring photographers. Young
Mm-hmm.
people, they want to shoot, they want to
Uh,
ask 50
uh,
questions.
uh-huh.
So that's why I kind of keep going back there. You might set 100 things up,
Mm.
and you will get great images, no doubt about
Uh,
it.
uh,
But if you can, once you learn to use your environment to your advantage,
mm.
no
Right.
matter where you are, you
Mm.
will be able to take a shot. So
True.
you can see that in the shadow, there's a guy that is actually standing there looking at me,
Mm.
right in this frame.
Yes.
So
Right.
he was going with his sister to get water,
Mm.
sister or whoever it was. Okay. But when he saw me, he became curious and he just kept standing there.
Mm.
I could have asked him to move. Now I'm just telling you this because it would have made for a better frame, right? A
Right.
guy that is just standing at you, he's adding nothing to the frame maybe, and he's looking into the camera and he's in shadow.
Mm.
But I was cool with it. I spoke with him, he spoke with me, but he never budged. Then I had to immediately think, okay, how do I create an image?
Mm.
Because I can't move anywhere. Because then I will not get enough of the sun as it is moving into the frame from right to left.
Right.
So I have
Right.
to create a frame for this.
Mm.
And so I knew where I had to keep the woman in the frame. She's in the center of the frame. But if we follow
Right.
our normal line of sight from left to right, you see she's just the second element. First is the
Right.
boy, second is the girl,
Mm.
third is the house,
Mm.
fourth is the boat. So it actually
Right.
takes you diagonally completely across the frame. So
True.
you can,
True.
you can do a lot,
Mm.
but you just need to be completely aware of the environment, the surroundings. So you can immediately have a plan B, plan C, plan D to make the most of the images that you make.
True. Excellent.
Sorry.
Wow. Crazy.
This is this is the nonsense that I do in Ladakh in winter. Minus 40, minus 45, minus 48 and all.
My God.
But
Mm.
this is Pangong, so everybody,
Mm.
the reason why I intentionally gave you this photo is because everybody knows the mountain in the backdrop.
Mm.
Anybody who has been to Pangong will recognize this mountain, but not
Right.
many people who have been to Pangong will recognize the lake.
Mm.
So going to Ladakh in winter, so this is one of my projects.
Mm.
So I have been documenting these lakes of Ladakh in winter. So I spend a
Mhm.
lot of time in Ladakh in winter
Mm.
making photographs like this. And the
Mm.
beauty is that depending on the cold, on the wind, on the sun, these patterns keep changing because the ice will thaw.
Right.
Other patterns be created. So this
Mm.
project actually is a never-ending project.
Mm.
But I hope someday I'll be able to finish the project to an extent that I feel it's worthy of a book that people will appreciate and not try and overdo beyond that. I want, because I love Ladakh so much, I want this book to be of a level that can't be matched, to be honest with you. So I've been doing this
Looking
for
forward
12
to it.
years. I'll maybe
Mm.
continue for 6 more years. And definitely I'll keep going to
Great.
Ladakh as long as my health permits.
Great.
Huh?
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is from the my series on the Gaddi. And when I say series, I mean, hundreds of photographs
Mm,
taken over many, many years.
mm,
So this guy's name is Sanju. Okay.
mm,
And he he has been one of my, I'll remember him forever. This guy. So this was in 2006, 2007. So, uh, this guy who had a phone, they would have one of those phones. Obviously, there is no
mm.
reception anywhere. So they would
Ah.
only have songs in their phones, and they would
Mm,
keep
mm.
playing songs. And anytime I would get, so when the Gaddis walk, see, they walk with no encumbrances, So he is walking with no weight.
Okay.
And I will have my backpack with me, my rucksack
Mm,
with me.
mm,
Will
mm,
include a
mm,
tent also. I have my cameras with me.
mm,
And then you have, snow and rain, and you want to do it in the pre-monsoon or the monsoon,
mm.
because you want to document their lives.
Right.
It's not
Right.
it's not a fantastic life,
Mm,
it's a very difficult life.
right.
So, and there would be snow and rain. It was terrible, this trek in
Mm,
itself. And every time, I would sit down, rest, I'm all wet. He would light up a bidi, he would play the the song on his phone, and he would invite me to dance with him. So, and I would tell him, I only have energy to walk, so you don't want me to reach camp by evening. So you want me to expend my energy dancing. So
mm,
this is at the very end of the frame. You see that little dent. That
right.
is the Thamsar Pass.
Okay.
So they also, this is not really on the Bada Bengal trek. So
Okay.
there are a couple of other places also from where the Gaddis come in.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, they will go and cross Bada Bengal. So this
Mm,
is the Thamsar Pass. So
mm.
here, Sanju is waiting for the herd to cross, because
Okay.
the sheep
Mm.
can't really walk through snow that is more than, say, their ankle deep.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm.
Then their hoofs begin to get affected. Their
Mm.
hoofs, quite like when you put your hand in water for a long time, your nails get soft.
Ah,
Like
right.
that, their hoofs get affected very badly. So you
Okay.
can't have straggler
Mm,
sheep. So I
mm,
was, of course, resting. But then, this sheep going completely in a line. And at
mm,
the very beginning of the line of sheep, you see that dot, that is another Gaddi.
mm.
And
Okay.
you have Sanju, who's whistling. So it's snowing also. So he has
Mm.
the chadar over him. Uh, and he's whistling to the sheep. And, I took this shot. So
Beautiful.
again, depending on, given how much I had to go through to get these shots,
Mm.
I'll always love them.
Absolutely.
This uh, this is on the Ken River in Madhya Pradesh. So
Okay.
I was there on assignment,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was the place that I was staying. So this was a 5-day assignment, and we would go to the national park every day, and
Okay.
shoot animals and come back. And then one evening there was a beautiful sunset, and there was just enough clouds, just enough pink in the sky for me to know that there might be something that was good that was happening.
Mm.
So on the river there, I saw this boat. It belonged to one of the hotels there. So
Okay.
I quickly ran up to the owner of the hotel, and I said, is
Mm-hmm.
there any way, you think that you can help me with a boatman who will take me around the river a bit?
Okay.
And she said, sure, no problems. And I had this boatman with me. We went up
Mm-hmm.
the river as the sunset began playing itself out.
Wow.
And when I knew
Beautiful.
that the moment was right, I said, enough, I will go back. And I sat behind the boat. I stood up and I began taking some shots. And so it's like liquid gold. It's even this, I find, is almost like a painting.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Mm. Very nice. Yeah.
So here, this is also on the way to Auden's Call, but it is at a much lower altitude. So storms
Okay.
and clouds, I always think that they make for better photographs than clear skies. There is a
True.
lot of drama that's added. So
True.
here,
Agree.
again, the model here is Avilash, the friend with whom I had done my basic course.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking. If you look at the rock that is right behind Avilash, it's almost like the profile of a man. So even
Yes.
we were waiting for the storm to end, and even while it was ending, I was telling Avilash, Avilash, I need a human in the frame. So you need to walk that 50 meters, whether it is wind or rain, I don't know, but you have to walk up to that rock, and you need to
Right.
stand, because once the storm moves and I
Mm.
get light, this is a peak from the Gangotri Massif. I said,
Mm.
I want
Okay.
this shot. So he
Mm.
went there. He's also taking a shot with his GoPro. And
Okay.
some things you get lucky with. If you see so you have a rock like a face, and then you have this silhouette of a person. And on the right
Mm.
and on the left, if you see on the mountain, the snow, you have a snow that's going up like a wave and a snow that's coming down. And even
Right.
in the cloud, it's like a V. See, it's the same. There's a cloud
Mm.
that's going straight and the little curve. So
Right.
you get lucky, but you need to you need to spot that, and you need to shoot accordingly.
Right. Right. Great.
Oh, there's still many here. I need to go through this quickly. This is Srinagar at the beginning of spring. So
Mm.
I already knew that this was a shot that was waiting to be made. This was in
Mm.
2006, 7. And
Beautiful.
so early in the morning, I took a shikara. I chose the colors myself.
Mm.
And
Oh, okay.
I chose
Mm.
the colors. I took a shikara that was yellow and blue.
Mm.
Spring morning, so around maybe 8 a.m.
Mm.
And you have yellow, blue, green, and not too much other color anywhere. So this
Mm-hmm.
is just colors that pop up, and it makes for one of, again, another textbook shot. Leading line, reflections,
Right.
a break in the
Yeah.
reflection, and everything.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow.
This again with the Gaddis when they are bringing their sheep back home. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I am a big fan of a fill-in flash. So
Mm.
I really love that. When
Mm.
low light and you use a little bit of flash, you don't really
Right.
understand that the flash is being used. So these are images that are made that way. Late in the evening, you have just enough light in the sky to make
Mm.
make the colors pop,
Ah.
and then you
Right.
have that little fill flash, so you have movement of the sheep. But because
Right.
the Safari is in the foreground, you stop him
Ah.
dead in his tracks. Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. Very nice.
This is an image that I made at Hola Mohalla. This is
Mm.
also not the kind of image that you usually associate with Hola Mohalla.
Mm.
Again,
Mm.
a
Mm.
place that people go to, and you get turbans and the nihangs and whatever else.
Right. Right.
The
Right.
fact is, these guys are, they are uh, brilliant horse riders,
Mm.
and we hunted out uh, a place where they would be training their horses.
Okay.
These horses are not really trained. They are half wild. So it's not as if the
Mm.
horses
Okay.
really listen to them. you know so there is
Okay.
a lot of
Mm-hmm.
protesting. It's like two alphas meeting. Nobody wants to back down.
Right.
And this guy loved it when he saw my cameras. So he
Okay.
was like, oh, you want to shoot this horse, it will rear up, it will do this, we are trying to train it. And then
Uh-huh.
he got so engrossed with all that. And I was just sitting there, and this horse reared itself up. Again, there is a lot of action, but it's diametrically opposite. Look at the other horse,
Right.
it's
Beautiful.
standing there placid, nothing, no problems.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. It's so beautiful. Wow.
Again, when I need to repeat this, when you begin understanding light, you begin to realize what you can do with the light that is available to you. This is
Mm.
an image that was made at around 11 p.m., 11 in the night.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
and there was just one bulb. So there is a
Okay.
stage show that was supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Children, okay, and so you have these makeup artists, the children, the children's parents,
Mm.
their relatives, everybody has come. That this is the green room. Everybody is crowding around. So there
Okay.
isn't enough light to go around. There are so many
Mm.
people. There are so many shadows everywhere. It's just black.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, so you can see that, right, the girl that is in the background, on whom I have
Mm.
focused, you see there's a little
Right.
line of blue. That's the chair on which she's sitting.
Mm.
Okay.
Right. Right.
And so I could either have thrown up my hands and said, not enough light, and gone home, or
Mm-hmm.
I could have said
Mm.
that there is so much shadow, let us, have some fun. So I didn't
Mm.
ask anyone to move. I didn't do anything. I went between the elbows and knees of people, and I finally found this place. And when I went there, I saw that there was another girl that was being dressed.
Okay.
She was completely in the dark. So, like
Mm.
I said, no problems. You do your dressing up. You forget that I am there. I
Mm.
focused on the girl that is there in the distance, and I used a little pop flash to light this girl up. And
Great.
you have such a beautiful frame.
Beautiful. Okay, I think that was it. Great. It
Finally,
was
yes.
such a visual delight to see all your pictures. It was so amazing. Great.
And I also hope
So,
that whoever has joined, I hope they have also liked all my rambling and ranting.
absolutely, absolutely. We have a lot of comments. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed Sridhar's pictures. If you have any questions, we'll quickly take a few questions before we close this session. So, in the meantime, I'll just go through some of the comments that we had. So, your pictures are really breathtaking. Thank you for sharing your experience. And
Thank you so much.
Ashwin, uh, Ashwini is saying your pictures are mind blowing and inspiring. Hats
Thank
off to
you,
you.
Ashwini ji.
Okay, Ram Prasad is saying wonderful set of pictures, very inspiring, and thank you for sharing your
Thank you,
knowledge.
Ram Prasad,
So
also.
here we actually have
Thanks for sitting through
a
this.
few more comments.
Thank you.
Great. So, so what was your most memorable? In the meantime, yeah, what was your most memorable moment when you were taking pictures all these days?
Well, there are too many memorable moments, but if I can, you remember something because it's either fantastic or because it is so nightmarish that uh, you want it to end and
Right,
you have a lesson for life, right? So
right,
there was
right.
something that changed me completely. In the sense, it didn't change me; it made me a lot wiser. One of
Okay.
the things that is always that people always say is that you need to understand the culture of the people. You need to,
Hmm.
but
Right,
understanding the culture only gives you so much insight,
right, right,
but the other things you never know until it actually hits
hmm,
you. So I
right,
think in
right.
2004, I was 2004 5 sometime then.
Hmm,
I was
hmm.
doing a project for Nagaland tourism,
Okay.
and I had a brilliant time, brilliant time shooting
Hmm,
everywhere. And this is a Nagaland which, see, all these times that I'm talking about, nobody went to these places.
hmm,
It
hmm,
was
hmm.
absolutely raw, these lands. So
Right.
wonderful fun. You are going into villages, people are welcoming you.
Ah.
You have the
Hmm.
Gamla, the elder, you make him understand, and he says, okay, he gets everybody together and tells him that he will shoot, he's from tourism, etc., etc. But
Right.
then what happened is I was on my way to Mon, and
Ah.
now that is the backward beyond, right? And in Nagaland, you don't really have hotels and restaurants at regular intervals. Uh,
Right. Right.
it's really the hinterland. So I had
Right.
gone to a Futa shop to have some food. So it had
Mm-hmm.
one bench, uh, a couple of chairs, and it is made of
Mm.
that woven cane, right? Just the cane wall.
Okay. Right.
So
Right.
you have this pattern which makes up for a window, right? These six holes,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Right.
And I could see movement outside that.
Mm.
And when I looked through that hole, I saw three women standing with kids on their back, you know, like
Okay.
they tie it.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful frame, colorful. It was winter. So they had their
Ah.
shawls, all the patterned shawls. And
Mm.
so I took my camera, I put it against that cane, and I was shooting. And then suddenly someone caught me by the collar and just yanked me back. Okay.
Oh my God.
And I
Mm.
turned around and I saw there were some 7 or 8 boys. They are boys, men between 25,
Ah.
35, 40 maybe.
Mm, mm, mm.
And all of them began talking to themselves, grabbing me by
Okay.
the collar, dragging me out.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what
Mm,
is happening? I can't understand anything. So
mm.
thankfully, my driver knew Nagamis,
Okay.
but these people didn't speak much of Nagamis.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they were obviously the cognac.
Mm,
And then I don't blame them for this.
mm.
But then when they began talking, they didn't let me go. They didn't let
Okay.
me go.
Mm,
Completely trust like a hen. And they were
mm.
speaking to the driver and they said that, we know why he's taking photographs. He kidnaps children.
Oh
Now
my God.
that is a major issue. Okay.
Mm, mm,
You are talking about children, you are talking about angered parents and all that.
mm,
It took me forever. And I, really thank my stars that
mm,
they didn't actually beat me to an inch of my life.
mm.
Because these are places where, these things happen. Kidnappings also happen. It's not
Absolutely.
as if they're lying.
Absolutely.
These things happen. So one of the things that I have realized is, you need to be very careful because you
Mm,
don't know really what else is happening.
mm.
It's everywhere. It is, people are generally, all the people are nice, but if bad
Right.
things are happening to
Absolutely.
someone, they will react in a certain way.
True.
So
True.
yeah,
So,
that is memorable, and it has made me a much wiser person than I ever have been.
mm.
So yeah.
Right. So I had a friend who had a similar experience, but the difference in the story was when he got his consciousness, he was in the hospital and his name was
Oh
in the
Christ.
newspaper. So,
I'm telling you this. I was actually surprised the
mm,
kind of vigor and anger with which they were
mm,
holding me.
mm,
I
mm,
don't know how they actually
mm.
let me go without touching me.
You are
I do
extremely
not know.
lucky.
Yes,
Mm,
I am. Yes, I am.
mm,
Because you could see in their eyes that they wished me
mm,
major harm. You know.
mm. Great. So thank you so much. We have another comment. Ashok Kumar is saying, enjoyed the narration, appreciate your patience and passion with to be with people and waiting for the right
Thank
time
you
to
so
take
much,
these
Ashok.
amazing pictures.
Anytime, anytime.
So Satya Prasad sir is saying, fantastic set of images.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Sridhar, for joining us today. So I hope you all had a great time, and thank you so much, Sridhar, and
Thank
hope to meet you soon.
Yes, so do I. So do I. We have never met, so we should.
Yes,
So thank you so
except
much,
for
Saurabh,
those
for
few
having me.
minutes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Couple of
Okay. So
seconds.
thank
Yeah.
you, Sridhar.
Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.